India just had its driest June in 146 years. Madhya Pradesh is running at around 50% deficit, while Gujarat and Maharashtra were at around 80% rainfall deficit, and the reason behind has a name El Nino. The same climate pattern that triggered a sharp market correction in 2015-16. But El Nino, if we consider it as just a weather condition, it majorly affects agriculture and farming. But agriculture makes up only 14 to 16% of entire India's GDP today. So here is a question nobody is really answering. If farming is such a small slice of the economy, why does one bad monsoon still dominate the news every single year? The answer to that question is actually the most important part of our video, and it changes how you should read every monsoon headline from here on. So please stick till the end where we'll be going to answer this question. In this video, we will be discussing about the El Nino, and we'll be covering 6 major parts in this video. So what is El Nino and why does India gets hit harder? What happened the last time 2015-16 and what this means for our economy and what's actually happening? Can India cushion itself at these present situations, and is India still an agricultural economy? So stay till the end. At the end we will answer to our major question: if agriculture is not a major portion of India's GDP, then why does it matter for us to discuss? Okay, come on. Hey everyone, welcome back to Finveda with CA. I am a chartered accountant, and on this channel I break down finance, economy and markets in a simple, easy to understand way. If that's something you find it useful, do subscribe and hit the bell icon. It really helps the channel to grow. So now let's get into the topic of today. So before going, this is a small disclaimer to you. This video is entirely for educational purpose only. It's not for any investment or financial advice. The content is based on publicly available data and my personal analysis. Please do your own research or consider a certified financial advisor before making any investment advices. So without any late, let's get into the topic of today. So first thing, we'll understand what is El Nino. Before we talk about the everything, we'll just understand what El Nino means. So don't worry, it sounds like a difficult scientific word, but the idea is actually very simple. First, one important thing is El Nino is not a cyclone, it's not a storm, it's not a flood or drought. Okay? Instead, it's simply a change in temperature of the Pacific Ocean. Okay, look, if you could look at the world map, I'll show you. Yes, if you could look at here is India, and here is the Pacific Ocean. For example, the Pacific Ocean is the biggest ocean on the earth. Strong winds blow from east to west, so these strong winds keep pushing the warm ocean water towards our Asia, means towards our India, including our country India. So let's see what happens in a normal year. In a normal year, strong trade winds push this warm water towards close of India. So when warm water comes to close to India, they evaporate faster and they form clouds faster. So more clouds means India will get more rain, right? This warm water here causes more water to evaporate into the sky, and when more water evaporates, more clouds are formed. More clouds usually means more rain. So that is one of the reasons India receives a healthy monsoon. It's not just a small amount. Around 70% of India's yearly rainfall comes from the southwest monsoons during the period of June to September. This is so from this you could understand how important it is to India. Now let us see. Now imagine something changes. This is in a normal year. So when in normal year, this warm water, when it is coming to India, it evaporates early and clouds form. This results in strong monsoon and rains to India. But during El Nino year, what happens is these winds, instead of being stronger, they become weak. Instead of pushing the warm water towards our Asia, they almost stop doing their job. Now this warm water stays near South America instead. Because this warm water is no longer close to India, fewer clouds only form over India and fewer clouds form over our region, and fewer clouds usually means less rainfall. This entire situation is known as El Nino. It's because the temperature of the Pacific Ocean changes once in few years, and due to that the warm water stays at that place only near the South America but doesn't enter the India. So during that time what happens is this less warm water near Asia forms lesser clouds over our India. Lesser clouds means less rainfall. This entire situation is known as El Nino. So remember this simple sentence. El Nino is simply warm ocean water staying in the wrong place but not coming to India. Okay, and that one small change in the Pacific Ocean can affect weather across entire world, not just our country India. Okay, so now you may be wondering that if El Nino happens thousands of kilometers away, why should India care? Why should we care? Because as we have discussed, 70% of India's yearly rainfall comes from the southwest monsoons. Think of monsoon as India's biggest water supplier. This monsoon itself, it fills rivers, it fills dams, water farms, and also drinking water, and also producing power using this water. So if monsoon is weak, we'll get less rainfall, right? The effects don't, and these effects don't stop just with farmers. Is not just with farmers. The entire country will feel it. Let's understand this with a simple example. For example, suppose you are buying vegetables. Normally farmers grow plenty of tomatoes every year. The market has lots and lots of tomatoes available to sell. So the price stays lower, right? Now imagine if this rainfall becomes weaker, the farmer could grow only fewer tomatoes and other crops as well. Only few of them they can be produced. There are fewer tomatoes in the market. Then what happens? Supply has reduced, but people are demanding the same amount of tomatoes every year. People still want to buy them. When demand stays the same but supply reduces, what happens? Prices automatically go up. This doesn't happen just with tomatoes. It can happen with rice, pulses, vegetables, fruits, and many other food items, right? When many food prices rise together, this is called as food inflation. Okay, so what the weather story has become a food story now, prices story now. Okay, so let's just get into inflation for some time. What does it mean and how is it calculated? If you often hear about CPI, the consumer price index, it's very simple. Think of it as your monthly shopping basket. Imagine your family goes shopping every month. They buy rice, wheat, vegetables, milk, oil, soaps, electricity, transport, etc. Government tracks the prices of all these items every day. Okay, if total shipping bill, if your monthly bill has increased, means last year all this put together your monthly expenses were only 10,000. If this year they have become 11,000 or 12,000, means your shopping bill has increased, because not your quantity has increased, just because the prices have increased. So this is what inflation means. This means inflation is rising, and because this food forms around 40% of CPI, consumer price index, this food forms very large part of the shopping basket. Poor rainfall can quickly become an inflation problem. Food, when food forms 40% of this basket, so when there is a weak monsoon, it doesn't stay as a weather story, it becomes a food story, because due to poor weather, poor rainfall, what happens? The prices of food increases, and prices of food, this food is a part of CPI, major part of 40% of CPI. CPI will be used to calculate inflation. So when weather is poor, the prices of food will increase, and due to which the CPI, in the CPI basket, the value of CPI will be increased, and inflation also increases. So what starts as a weather problem or a weather story slowly becomes an economic story as it becomes an inflation story. Okay, so before moving forward, let's get into what is known as Nino 3.4. There is one more word you will hear often in the news reports, that is Nino 3.4. Think of it as a thermometer kept inside a small part of Pacific Ocean. Okay, this is a key region in the Pacific Ocean that scientists monitor to detect whether there is El Nino or not. this portion. Okay, if the temperature they will be monitoring the temperature here. If the water here stays 0.5 degrees Celsius warmer than normal for 5 straight months, then we'll call it as El Nino is officially declared. Okay, so El Nino will be declared when the ocean water temperature in this place stays at 0.5 degrees Celsius warmer than usual things. If it is 2 degrees Celsius more than the normal temperature, then it is known as super El Nino. Super El Nino. Okay. So there are two things. If it is just 0.5 degrees, then we would be call it as El Nino is declared. If the temperature there is 2 degrees Celsius more, then it would be super El Nino, right? Okay, it's normal. If it is below 0.5 degrees Celsius increase, it's normal. If it is 0.5 degrees Celsius more than the normal temperature, then we'll declare El Nino. If it is above 2 degrees Celsius of normal temperature, then it is super El Nino, right? And if you could see here, this is a Columbia Climate School International Research Institute for Climate and Society, and what they have said is it has reached 0.48 degrees Celsius during March to May 2026, and in May it has increased to 0.94 degrees Celsius, means more than 0.5 degrees Celsius. This is where the El Nino is declared. And on June 17, 2026, it has gone up to 1.7 degrees Celsius, which is more. So seeing the specific conditions, it has transitioned into El Nino conditions officially, right? And continuing to intensify, it is moderate to strength. The current position is moderate to strength, right? Moderate strength El Nino. Okay, 1.7 degrees Celsius means the normal means the temperature of that part of Pacific Ocean is 1.7 degrees Celsius more than normal thing, what it usually to be earlier, right? So now you had understood what is meant by El Nino and the Nino 3.4. Now let's understand what happened last year. Yes, you might be thinking, has India ever faced Nino before? Yes, many times. Some of the strongest Nino years were 1997 to 98, and then 2009 to 10, and then in the year 2015-16. Out of these, 2015-16 is most important to us because India's economy in 2015 looked much more like today's economy in 2026 than it was in 1997. So if we want to understand what might happen this time in 2026, 2015 gives us some very useful lessons. Notice I said lessons here, not predictions. History doesn't repeat exactly every time, but it often gives us the clues. So let's start with the weather. In 2015, India received 14% lesser rainfall than normal. It means it has received only 86% of normal rainfall. So there was a deficit of 14%. At first, that might not sound like a very big number. You might think only 14% less rainfall. Is that really a problem? The answer is yes, it's a problem. Because rainfall is not evenly spread across India, some places may receive normal rainfall, other may receive little rainfall. And farming depends not only on how much rain falls, but also when it falls, when the rainfall comes. If rain arrives too late, seeds cannot be sown on time. If it stops too early, crops do not grow properly, right? So even if a 14% drop in rainfall, of normal rainfall, it can create much bigger problems for farmers. So what happens is, farmers, they are worrying about less rainfall. So will they immediately buy a new motor vehicle? Will they buy? Probably no. Will they renovate their house? Probably no. Will they buy a new tractor? Most likely no. They will first spend whatever money they have only on things their family absolutely needs, then on these items. So that is exactly what happened in many rural parts of India then in 2015. Due to this less rainfall, there was smaller harvest to the farmers, so less food was available. So higher food prices, so farmers earned less. When their earnings were less, they will first priority their needs, means the most essential things, rather than on spending on other things. So if farmers are earning less, they will postpone their spending, means they might be want to buy some expensive things, they will postpone all such things. So what happens, that means companies selling these tractors or these construction things receive fewer orders. So companies selling motor vehicles receive fewer customers. So many rural focused FMCG companies also saw fewer sales then, because families become more careful about their spending only on the needy things. Right, if you could understand it has started from a farmer, but it has spread to other markets as well, right? Because of the lesser income, their demands will be lower. So what happens when demands are low, there won't be normal sales in other sectors as well. So what happened at that time was, the prices sparked up, pulses prices had rose sharply, food inflation also spiked, many FMCG companies came under earnings pressure. But another thing to understand was, Indian equity markets also went through sharp correction. It's a lower thing. Nifty saw a meaningful double digit drawdown across financial year 2015-16. Nifty has also fall down, as you could see. Yeah. But one important thing to remember is, this is the most important thing, was this fall of Nifty was not just about this El Nino or about the monsoon. It's not only about El Nino. There was another important thing that has happened in 2015-16 was, China's economy has slowed down at that time. The yuan got devalued unexpectedly. Global risk sentiment was already fragile. So El Nino didn't single-handedly crash the market. This is the most important thing to remember. In 2015-16, the market crash was not just because of El Nino. El Nino is just one of the factors, and another factor was China's economy got slowed down. Yuan has been devalued. So these are the reasons. Okay, so that's the lesson we have to carry forward from 2015. El Nino doesn't act alone, rarely. It doesn't act alone. It's a multiplier. It's not the only driver, it's not the only factor that has caused in 2015-16. It's only one of the factors. This is the most important thing. El Nino didn't single-handedly crash the market. Okay, it added pressure on top that was already under stress. Market was already under stress. El Nino has added at that time. It's not the main driver or main reason for Nifty fall down. Okay, so now let's understand what's happening now. Let's come back to today. We understood what El Nino is and what has happened in 2015-16. So we also known about that. But the question every person is asking now is, could something similar happen again now? To answer that, we'll look at the latest information. As weeks passed from April to May and then to June, IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, officially kept lowering its monsoon expectations, and it has finally confirmed El Nino in June. On June 12th, IMD officially confirmed that El Nino conditions have emerged over the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Climate models indicate phenomenon will strengthen. It will be strengthened between July and September. Southwest monsoon delivers the bulk of India's annual rainfall. We have studied the southwest monsoon. 70% of rainfall comes from the southwest monsoons. Okay, so it got confirmed. Watch and wait from that situation too. It's a confirmed climate event for 2026, right? And June 2026 is driest in 146 years. Normal rainfall was 98 mm, but actually it was got down to 53 millimeter. June 2026 received nearly half the normal rainfall, making it one of the driest Junes in India's recorded history. Okay, and this is the thing. If you could see here, these are the things we are already discussed. means IMD forecasting below normal monsoon season. So this would be below normal. This is not normal monsoon. This would be below normal monsoon. Below normal monsoon season would be there in this year. And India's reservoirs are at 28% capacity, as monsoon has become crucial for water supply. And our normal, no need to panic, normal national storage is above the normal things. Okay. Yes, this is a report forecast for the southwest monsoon seasonal rainfall during June to September. And it has, you can see here over the means rainfall would be, yeah, all these things show the same thing. What's that is a below normal monsoon would be there. It's confirmed and it's strengthening. It would be around means most of India's rain-fed agricultural areas mostly likely to see below normal rainfall. It would be less than 94% in northwest and central south peninsular. 90% is of normal rainfall, means would not be receiving full 100% rainfall this year as in earlier years. And now you might ask, what does RBI have to do with rainfall? Does it have any role? Yes, let's understand with a simple example. Suppose food prices has gone up. So what happens? Food prices, like because vegetables, fruits, pulses become expensive, so food prices has risen up, for example. So families now want to have to spend more money on basic necessities. This is what called as inflation. One of RBI's biggest responsibilities is to cool down this inflation, control inflation. That's the responsibilities of RBI. One of the responsibilities of RBI is that to keep inflation under control. So if inflation remains high, what RBI does is it may decide not to reduce the inflation rates. Sometimes it may if inflation remains high for a long time, RBI may decide not to reduce the interest rates, because what happens is, if the interest rates are higher, it helps to reduce spending in the economy, so it slows down the inflation. Because if interest rates are higher, taking loans will become expensive to us, so more interest rates, so it becomes expensive for us to borrow money from banks. So many companies daily delay this expansion. Many companies, they may want funds for expansion, so but taking the loans from banks, it has become expensive because RBI has increased the interest rate, or it has not reduced the interest rates. So what happens, company will postpone their development, postpone their expansion procedures, because they have to borrow money at higher cost. As a result, what happens, economic growth will slow down, slow business expansion would be there. So notice how one weather event has become a food event, has become an inflation event, now has become a business. How it has affected the businesses, how it has affected the loans and all. Okay, but some business may not be affected much at all. In fact, a few sectors may even benefit. We'll discuss shortly. So which sectors would benefit and which would face some challenges. Okay. Okay, next. What this means for our economy, we'll check it out. Now let's connect the dots in one chain, because this is part most people skip past. So weak monsoon, what happens, weak sowing would be there. Due to weak monsoon, there would be weak sowing, lower farm output, weaker rural income. So when there is rural income is weak, they would not demand much, so weak rural demand. And corporates, they may miss their earnings from these rural areas. And on the other side, due to this weak sowing and lower farm output, there would be lesser supply, and the demand would be the same, so food prices will spike. This causes inflation. RBI turns cautious, protective, and the rate cuts are delayed. It will keep the same rates. That delay becomes a fresh headache for the market. Right now, the retail inflation Right now, the retail inflation was around 3.48% within the RBI's tolerance limit only. Means right now the inflation rates are under control of RBI, but it might go above than this because of this deficient rainfall. This is some of the economists are flagging this. It may go to about 5.5 also. Okay, but one thing to remember is this is a good news. Nifty is not an agricultural index. Nifty doesn't have only one agricultural index. Okay, means Nifty 50 it tracks stocks of top 50. Okay, covering 13 sectors, not just agricultural sector. Okay, it covers 13 sectors of Indian economy of 50 stocks. Okay, 37% of what Nifty tracks are about financial services alone. This is a single biggest weight. Means most of Nifty 50's weight sits in financials, energy, IT and consumer sectors, not farming. So you need not worry that due to this weather the food prices might increase, uh, so that the Nifty would fall down. It's not necessarily. Okay, Nifty is not at all an agricultural heavy index. Financial services alone make 37% of Nifty 50's weight. Okay, so this is one of the good news for us to carry forward from here, and we'll understand which sectors that may face headwinds, means challenges. First thing is agriculture. As you know, first sector to feel the impact of poor rainfall is agriculture. Crops may not grow properly, means lower production, lower income to rural farmers. And the next thing is fertilizers. They may delay buying or upgrading these equipments. Rural FMCG, they may lower their spendings because of lower income. When income is lower, spending will be lower, right, automatically. Automobile companies, they may also face some issues, so sales may slow down. They may wait, farmers may wait to buy them. Banks and microfinance, these lend money to villages and small businesses, right? If farmers have poor harvest, some borrowers may take longer to repay the loans. They may want longer time to repay, so they may also delay taking new loans. Okay, so let's see, there are some other sectors which will also benefit. Agrochemical companies, if crops become weaker, farmers often buy more pesticides, right, and crop protection products to save the at least a small farm. Irrigation companies, when rainfall becomes uncertain, farmers need drip irrigation, water pumps, borewells and some other water saving equipment, so demand for these products might increase. Power and utility companies, El Nino often brings hotter weather, right? So hotter weather means people use air conditioners, fans and coolers use will increase more oftenly. This increases electricity demand, so power companies may benefit from this increased consumption. Renewable energy and water infrastructure, so there would be some unusual weather, right? So great focus on better water storage, improved irrigation and then the climate resilient infrastructure, renewable energy. So companies working in these long term areas may receive greater policy attention over time. Final message I would like to give is from here is, this is not list of stocks, this is not any list of stocks to buy or sell. Okay, it simply helps us understand how difficult the businesses are, how different these businesses are getting affected because of El Nino. A smart investor never makes decisions just based on one event. They also study companies profits. Yes, smart investing means they also study companies profits, companies debt, companies cash flows, valuation, government and global economy and the company's management. This is known as smart investing. Shouldn't react to headlines, just respond. Do not react, because it's just a part of a bigger puzzle. El Nino is just one piece of a bigger puzzle. That's why successful investing is not about reacting to headlines, it's about understanding the complete picture. Before making any decision, you have to understand everything before making any particular investment or disinvestment decision. Never invest or disinvest based only on one event, any one event. Just for example like El Nino. Okay, professional investors never do that. You have to remember that. Okay, this is not at all a stock tip. This is what I want to clarify to you all. A smart investor never decides on one event alone. Has to study everything as a whole. You have to study, then only have to take any decision. It's only one piece. Never invest based on single event. Okay. And coming to the next, we'll understand can India cushion itself. How is India preparing for this El Nino? Means we have better irrigation coverage. Under Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, Har Khet Ko Pani means water for every farm. We have better irrigation coverage than compared to 2015-16. Okay, because 55% of total sown land was irrigated in financial year 21. This has rose from 49% in financial year 2015-16. Okay, next India has built buffers. Okay, we have strong buffers of buffer stock of food, mainly rice and wheat. These are stored by the government. It can be released into the market if food supplies become tight. This helps to reduce certain shortages and prevent food prices from rising up too sharply. Compared to 2015, India currently has stronger food grain stocks, making it better prepared for temporary production shocks. Okay, it has increased, right? Share of irrigated farmland has increased, so they can be resilient. They can uh, bear this monsoon deficit. The next thing, as we had discussed, we had large food buffer stocks. It's 376.56 and 1.74 lakh quintals metric tons. The next thing is we have better crop insurance for farmers under Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Many farmers are protected under this. If crops are damaged due to notified natural events, so eligible farmers can receive insurance compensation as well. And the next thing is real-time weather monitoring and advisories. In 2015 weather forecasting was good, but today it's even better. It's even better now. The IMD continuously tracks the Pacific Ocean rainfall, temperatures and monsoon conditions using the satellites and the other scientific methods and models. Farmers also receive crop advisories from Krishi Vignan Kendras, what we call as KVKs, and agro meteorological advisory units, helping them to decide what to sow and when to sow, and also how to manage usage of water. And the next thing is 2026 El Nino preparedness plan. The government is not waiting for problems to happen this time. It's prepared in advance. It's preparing in advance. Recently, Union government has reviewed preparedness with all states and announced several measures. Some contingency plans for 300 plus vulnerable districts, repairing these water storage things like the ponds, check dams and water harvesting techniques. Structures, short duration and less water intensive crops are being encouraged like pulses, millets and oil seeds, keeping additional stock of seeds ready in case farmers need to resow them. And some KVK Kendras, Krishi Vignan Kendras, prioritizing drinking water and adequate availability of fertilizers. A strong El Nino. So today we have better irrigation, better weather forecasting, better crop insurance, larger food grain reserves and stronger contingency planning. A strong El Nino can affect rainfall, agriculture and inflation. But compared with 2015 we have all these better things, but significantly we can reduce the impact. We may still get affected, but we can reduce its impact significantly. So why today's discussion should not be, that's why today's discussion should not be about panicking. It should be about preparedness. We are going to be well prepared for this. And the thing which I promised to answer at the last is India still an agricultural economy? Because if you go back to few decades, agriculture used to be the single biggest piece of India's economy. But today, India's agricultural contribution to GDP has fallen to 14 to 16%. Services alone make around 50% of India's gross value added. So why do we still talk about monsoon so much? Means even though farming is only 1/7 of our economy, why does a weak monsoon still dominate every business news headline every June? Because agricultural share of GDP has shrunk to 14 to 16 percentage, but around 40 to 45 percentage of workforce, means people working, are still dependent on agriculture. They are working on agriculture, still depending on this agriculture. Okay, so a huge share of India's workforce, nearly 50 percentage, 40 to 45% still earns their living from agriculture or agriculture related activities, even though that work generates only 14 to 16% of GDP. That gap is this entire story of discussing about the impact of monsoon on Indian economy. It means farming has become a low output but high employment sector. A bad monsoon doesn't dent our GDP number much directly, but it dents the take home income of enormous number of households at once. So if we could let, so this is the reason why we are discussing much about this impact of El Nino on India. So let's tie it all together. Let's, if we could recap, El Nino weakens India's monsoon by shifting the wind and temperature patterns in the Pacific Ocean. 2015-16 has showed us what it looked like in the past. 2026 is already living through a serious version. It's confirmed and one of the driest Junes in 100 plus years. Some sectors are under pressure, some sectors may be benefited from that. It's not obvious. India enters this cycle with stronger buffers than 2015, better irrigation, crop insurances, forecasting and buffer stocks. Right? And this video is for educational purpose only. It's not an investment advice. Mutual funds and stock market investments are subject to market risks. So please consult a registered financial or investment advisor before making any investment decision. My video is just for information and educational purpose and not any investment or financial advice. Please mark it. And the bigger point from today's video we had discussed is agriculture is now a small part of India's GDP, only about 14 to 16%, but it still supports the livelihood of a huge share of India's population. Okay, so when the monsoon disappoints, it doesn't move the GDP number much. What it does is millions of families' income will get affected. Okay, so you had all understood about everything. We had also got a recap of all this, right? So if this kind of breakdown helps you think about the markets more clearly, please do hit the subscribe. It genuinely helps this channel to grow. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you all.